Well, hello, everybody. It's J.R. Arsenault here. And today I have a very special guest. His name, Dan Altmire. And what we're talking about is something that affects all of us, whether it's us directly, our parents, or our friends. It's the possibility of getting sick when you get older and needing long-term care. And Dan has some incredible, innovative solutions to making it affordable. And right now, we are going to go to see Dan. And here's Dan Altmire. How are you doing today, Dan?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm so excited to be here with you today, JR, and looking forward to sharing this book with everybody out there.
And why did you write this book? I mean, what's it all about, Alfie?
What's it all about, Alfie? Well, I wrote this book. Actually, I was writing another book on significant longevity, making your longer life a portrait in significance. And in that book, basically, we talk about three different areas. One is embracing your destiny. Two is building your legacy. And three is assuring your dignity. As I was writing the book, what I realized was, and also in my practice, in my financial services practice, I realized that so many people don't know how to assure their dignity as they grow older. How many people don't have a plan, don't have their family don't know what their wishes are or anything else. I felt compelled to write this book first so that I can get it out to everybody else and I can finish the other book. Hopefully we'll have that out before this time next year. But my first experience of writing a book has told me that don't be optimistic, just be diligent. So we'll see where we go with that.
Well, okay. So it sounds like you know a lot about this stuff, but what actually is your experience with it?
Well, I've been in financial services now since 1986. And worked as financial planner, worked with businesses on their employee benefits, worked many years with voluntary benefits with the largest carrier in that space, AFLAC. And by the way, I worked with them before they had the duck, and after they had the duck. So and along the way, I've also been very active in our financial planning and financial services association, NAFA, the National Association of Insurance and Financial Advisors, and so I've been around a lot of planning, a lot of understanding how benefits work, understanding how government programs work. And so it's a challenging area if you don't know what's going on, because you know the old saying on the right hand and the left hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing. And a lot of times you can be putting together a plan, but if you don't know what's available either in the private sector or you don't know what's available in the public sector, you can spend a lot of time chasing something and when it was right there in front of you. So that's why we wrote the book. I wrote the book to to try and give people a guidepost, a map, a GPS, if you will, to help them find solutions that they may not know exist.
Well, I can relate to that. How How come people don't set these plans up? How come people don't plan for something that's going to be catastrophic?
Well, JR, boy, I felt like it was on the WWE there for a second when I said, JR. Anyway, but now I lost. I went to the WWE and I lost the question. What was your question again?
The reasons people have a lack of plan for something that's a catastrophe.
Okay, well, the number one reason is that they don't think it's going to happen to them.
It can't happen here.
It can't. Right. It can't happen here. It's not going to happen to me. Well, here's the figures, and the figures are that according to the federal government, people over 65 have a 70% chance of having a long-term care event. Now, it might not be for the rest of their life. It might be a 6-month stay in rehab after getting breaking their hip or whatever. But that there will be 70% chance that you're going to need a care plan in place. That doesn't mean you need insurance necessarily. We'll talk about that as we go along. But it does mean that you should have all of your plans in place so that it doesn't become a crisis. If the weather forecast says there's a 70% chance of rain, it makes sense to have an umbrella.
Exactly. Now, okay, so you've got this book that sets up the plan, but I'm going to play devil's advocate for just a second, okay? Like I never have done that in my life. What makes it different with you? Because right now we are, among other things, on what I call the YouTube echo chamber. And I bet if we did long-term plan care / whatever, we'd have about 15 weeks of continuous blah, blah, blah. But you and me have had a business and friendly relationship for several years now. And I know, hey, everybody, if you haven't figured it out, this is one of the superstars of AFLAC, one of the biggest insurance providers in the universe. And the reason why he's great and the reason why I'm talking to him is because you need to listen, because he knows what he's talking about. He's no spring chicken. He's got all this experience like me. And so there was a book you put together. What's the deal? Why does anybody want to bother with a book when they can just, look at it somewhere else?
Well, it's like this, JR. There's, you said that there's like 150,000 hours or something like that of YouTube. Nobody's going to sit down and watch all that. This book is set up to be a guidepost, and you don't have to read all of it. You can read chapter 12. You can read chapter 8. You can read chapter 1. You want to know about government programs? There's government programs. You want to know who to go see? There's a chapter in the back of all the different resources that are out there. This is not meant. This is not a sales brochure for me. This is a guide book for people to know that there are things. People say, "Oh, well, I was already applied for long-term care insurance and I got turned down." That doesn't mean that you still can't get an insurance program. It just means you can't get that one. There's other ways you can apply. There are other types of programs that you have. Most people that I've talked to, when they think of long-term care, think of long-term care insurance the way it was in the 1990s and the early 2000s. And then what happened in the later 2000s, the 2010s, is all of a sudden the expenses started catching up to those. And just like regular health insurance, the costs went up. And then they had to have rate increases and everything. It doesn't mean that those plans aren't valuable. It doesn't mean those plans aren't good. But that's what everybody thinks long-term care insurance is. Or maybe they got turned down for a plan like that. But there are other plans that are designed around life insurance contracts. There are other plans that are designed around annuities. And there's different qualifications. And in my practice at Champion Human Capital here, we look at the whole marketplace after we look at the client's entire situation, where they have their assets, what their needs are for the future, and what their health is, and then we find the right carrier that matches their needs, as opposed to trying to shove them into one set of solutions. It's that's what differentiates my practice. But again, back to the book. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? But what's different about the book is that you can go and consult it. You don't have to read the whole book. You can look for what your needs are. It's a quick read. Our friend Jeffrey Gittimer told me it looks like a very, very smooth read when he got the book, and that's an important thing. This is not written at a master's degree level. The information is PhD level, but is written so that anybody can understand this. And the other thing, JR, you asked me how I came to write this book. The other thing is, when you talk to people, everybody has a story. Everybody has a long-term care story. Some of them are wonderful stories and uplifting, and other ones are complete disasters. And others are very touching. My wife and her two sisters cared for their mom 24/7 for 10 years.
Wow.
While working jobs. And, it started off just taking mom to the grocery store with you and everything. And it was just kind of a tag along thing because she had dementia. But as it progressed, became more and more difficult, and it finally got to the point where their ability to give her the care she needed was not wasn't available, and so they had to, she had to go into assisted living after that. But just watching that whole thing and knowing how many people are out there like my wife and her sisters who were in the sandwich generation.
Oh, yeah.
They're still dealing with their kids. They're still dealing with issues around the family, their family, but all of a sudden they also have to deal with the issues of their parents and how that affects people while they're at work. If somebody's working, and the average caregiver works 25 to 35 hours a week on providing care, where, if you're doing that plus working a full-time job, something's got to give.
Very true. The thing about it, my mom just turned 100 last year. In fact, she's coming up on 101. And for many years, many decades, I live 800 miles away. So as much as it hurts me, I can't help my brothers and sisters because I'm not there. And especially when she went into assisted living, it was just too much. And it wasn't an option at that point, a year or two ago, when she just needed someone to do everything. So I can easily relate on many levels to what you just said. I'm thinking you're talking about evaluating people and their needs. Your book that seems like back in the day we had a cheat book called Cliff Notes. If you didn't want to read Wuthering Heights, you got the Cliff Notes for $2.95 at Eckert's Drugs or whatever it was, and you passed. You didn't get the full Monty on the experience, and I'm thinking that that's sort of like what your book is it's the Cliff's Notes, the shorthand, all the essence, the freeze dried, all the vitamins are still there, only you took the moisture and the fluff out with the book. By the way, everybody, the book is down below at bespoke.com. And because you're watching.
Hey, JR, that it's bespoke-ltc.com.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Another edit. But what he has up on his background, don't listen to me, listen to Dan. He's the expert. But sorry about that, Dan.
You do have the discount code correct.
Yeah.
The discount code says JR Launch 5. And if you use that discount code when you go to the website, bespoke-ltc.com, and you go JR Launch 5, you'll get the book for $5. It normally sells for $24.95, but for this very special event and this very special guy, JR, we're offering this until the 22nd of September. This code will work if you go to the right address, which is bespoke.ltc.com.
It's in his upper right hand. Don't listen to me. Listen to Dan. Dan's the expert. I'm just the interviewer.
https://bespoke-ltc.com.
Now, the question I have, okay, somebody already has long-term care insurance, and maybe they're not listening. But if they are, is there any value for them to have this overview? Because it sounds like there's all kind of different ways to cut the mustard here. It sounds like there's all sorts of new innovative things that might not have been there when they put the plan back in 93 or whenever it was. Tell me about, is there any value to that?
Absolutely. One of the things is inflation is there. Even if you get the same type of plan that you had before, evaluating what's happened in inflation. If you look at the cost of long-term care, let's just say in a nursing facility, a skilled care facility, and you look at the price in 2019 and you look at the price today, let's just say that it was $10,000 a day then. I'm sorry, $10,000 a month then. Now it's going to be more like $12,500 to $13,000 for that. So if you had planned for getting $10,000 worth of benefit from a long-term care policy, and you haven't changed any of your assets or anything else, you may need to supplement that plan. That doesn't mean you need to get rid of your old plan. It just means that it's important to adjust as you go through. We've had a period of inflation. I'm not getting political on that. It's just, it is what it is. And we've gone through that, and seems to be abating, but the increases are still there. The increases don't go away. They're not going to say, "Oh, well, good, we're back down to sub 3% increases each year. We'll go back to that $10,000 price." No, because all of their expenses have gone up too. That's why it's so important to review your plans. Also, if you've had other changes, if one of your family members has passed away, if you have other needs, if you sold your house, if you made any other kinds of changes, it's always good to look back at all of your plans. Same thing for your legal documents, your advance directives, and your will. They're not a static thing. They're not etched in stone somewhere.
Nice. Well, okay. Number one on that little whatever, I did update it. The data is now complete. And so down below or over on the side there, please get this book. It's only $5. And it's not so much, it's only $5. And I know, Dan, I wouldn't be doing this if I thought he was going to spam you, because trust me, this man is very successful and very busy, but he's concerned about people and things that happen at the end of your life. And we need to be with what's going on out there. We need all the help we can get. And I really feel to the point where I'm doing this as with Dan, you need to consider what he's talking about, because there's so many things we consider. Hey, Labor Day is coming up. What am I doing? I'm going to the beach. Oh, well, what am I doing there? Oh, and that's the usual stuff. But in the meantime, it's like the hurricane that shows up. Nobody expected the Spanish Inquisition is a famous quote from one of my movies. And we need to be cognizant, and to the degree that we can, be in control of the things that we can control. This is certainly one of them. And Dan,
JR, just to jump in for a second, I live in Maryland, and earlier this year we had a disaster in Baltimore Harbor, where a very big ship ran into a bridge, and unfortunately 6 people lost their lives that were working on that bridge. But fortunately it wasn't like in the middle of the day and it was full of cars and people. It was it's still a disaster, but not as big a one as it could have been. But here's the thing: they built that bridge before it was common to put what they call dolphins around the posts that hold up the thing, so that if something runs into them, that they run into the dolphin thing. And I don't mean dolphins like Flipper, but
it diverts it.
It's a big cement and metal thing that would protect the stanchions of the bridge. So when the bridge was built, it wasn't common to have that. but there were bridges built after that. And if they'd have retrofitted the bridge with those, we wouldn't have had those 6 people that passed away. We wouldn't have a $15 billion to $30 billion bridge replacement on Route 95, which is like one of the big thoroughfares of the whole United States. If they'd have taken that insurance, and it's not an insurance policy, but if they planned and assured that wouldn't happen. Same thing happened 20 years ago, almost, in New Orleans. How many years did we see television specials about what would happen if the big hurricane hit New Orleans? And it was like, oh, it's a surprise when all that stuff happened. But it wasn't a surprise. They could have taken the steps to mitigate it. Fortunately, planning for long-term care is, first of all, about putting together a plan. Second of all, looking at how you fund it. But you don't have to fund it with billions and trillions of dollars. You just need to fund it. Or maybe you don't, but you still need a plan. And you know, when I talk to younger people, people who are in their 40s and 50s, at the workplace especially, I ask them the question, what is your parents' long-term care plan? And most of the people go, I don't know. And my response to them is, if you don't know what their plan is, you're part of it. And wouldn't it be better for you to go ahead and talk to them about it and figure out what's going on? You know, again, that's not about insurance. It's about a plan. You need insurance. There are plenty of people out there, including me, that can help you with that. But if you need a plan, you know, that's where it all starts.
Yeah, $5 and 15 minutes to see how the rest of your life can be easier. Is it worth it?
So, so anyway, that's part of what I see as an opportunity out there for everybody. You know, we mentioned before, 70% of the people that are 65 and older will need care at some point in their living, the period of life that they have left. But only about 14% of people have a plan. So that's why I'm compelled to get this message out there and help people identify what the solutions are. And, you know, if my company, Champion Human Capital, can help them find options to fund that, that is great. But, you know, I didn't write this book to get rich. I wrote the book to help as many people as we possibly could. And by the way, thank you for taking this time to help me get that message out. I really appreciate it.
You know, it's been my pleasure. This is just so timely, because with all the things that are going on, and we're not going to get into political commentary because either side will agree, there's a whole lot of stuff we can't control. So I try not to worry about stuff I can't control, with some limited success. But on the other hand, there are certain things like my attitude, my health, my finances, my life, my friends, and that I'm going to take care of. I take care of stuff that isn't within your control to the highest degree. That's why we're doing this today. We're thanking everybody that's listening. And please take a little bit of initiative. I've got the right digits down below now. I corrected them. $5, 15 minutes, whatever, for Dan Altmire's Cliff Notes on how to ensure your future isn't going to bankrupt you and you can deal with it.
Boy, if I had thought about that Cliff Notes thing, I would have made the cover yellow and black. But anyway, this is a serious subject, and again, this is an easy read. It's a good outline. It's got specific financial planning strategies that you can use, and and one of the things that people ask me all the time is, when's the best time to make a plan?
Yesterday.
Yesterday is exactly right. When is the best time to make a plan? Yesterday. And if it's not yesterday, then it's today. And if you made your plan yesterday, it makes sense to review it and make sure that it still meets the needs that you have in front of you. And people ask me the same question: when is the best time to buy insurance? And JR, the answer to that is
before yesterday. The day of yesterday.
Yesterday.
When you're healthy.
Right. And your chances are you're never going to be healthier than you are today. Makes it easier to qualify for insurance if qualifying is important. But if you didn't do that, we actually have programs where you don't need to be medically in great shape to do it. There's a program called the Pension Protection Act, which allows you to take annuities and cash values of life insurance policies and move them into what they call a Pension Protection Act annuity, which allows you to take the money out without any taxes to pay for long-term care. So there's options out there that most people don't know. Most people in the financial services business don't know about this stuff.
That's why get the Cliff Notes, Dan's Cliff Notes. What can I say?
Well, also, that's why just because somebody has a license doesn't mean that they're an expert. If I have to get heart surgery, I'm not going to go to my personal care physician and say, can you do the heart surgery? I am going to go to the best heart surgeon I can find, one that specializes in hearts. I'm not going to go to a brain surgeon. I'm not going to go to a foot surgeon, a podiatrist. I'm going to go to a heart surgeon. People tell me, "Oh, Dan, can you now that you've done my long-term care plan, can you manage my funds for me?" No, I don't do that. That's not my specialty. I can refer you to people that do that, but that's not what I do. People say, "Dan, can you help me with my car insurance?" No, I can't help you with your car insurance. That's not my specialty. But what I can do is refer you to somebody else that does that as a specialty.
Well, we'd be remiss in not saying hello to the great Bruce Mills. George Henderson was on here, some of our good friends, and
Bruce and George,
and they've been taking copious notes, I'm sure. But Dan, it's been a wonderful half hour, and I hope that this changes somebody's life. I hope it changes several lives, but even if it's just one, it's been worth it.
That's what exactly. It's definitely worth it. I just want to leave everybody with this heartfelt thank you for your spending your time on here today, and take advantage of the correct web address down at the bottom of the page and the correct discount code JRLaunch5 at bespoke https:// bespoke-ltc.com.
It's all good. Dan, thank you for your time, and good luck in everything you do, my friend. You're an amazing friend.
All right. Well, thank you again, JR.
Well, that was a really good half hour, wasn't it? Again, please get the book, especially that it's only $5, which is basically going to cover the cost of shipping, I guess. We'll catch you soon. And once again, enjoy the journey.